Hello, I'm Sam Orlich, a product specialist here in Madrid, Spain for Heritage Audio. Today we'll be introducing the BritStrip, a channel strip combining three of our most popular designs: a mic pre and DI, an inductor-based EQ, and our Diode Bridge compressor. Now I'd like to explain the different connections on the back panel of the BritStrip. First thing you're going to want to do is make sure you've got your 5-pin cable inserted for the power. Goes right in there. Next up, what you're going to do is you're going to grab a line level signal or a mic signal, either one. If you're using a microphone, you're going to want to go into the mic input here, whereas if it's a line, obviously into the line input. Now these are both Carnhill based transformer coupled inputs as well as the output. Then we've got a simple RCA here. If you're going to link two units together, you'd be using this to control the dynamic sections, make sure that they're both synced up. Then we have a sidechain jack for the send and return if you're using an external sidechain, a graphic EQ for example. And then what you're going to want to do is grab another XLR cable, take the female end of it, slip that right into the output there, take the male end and plug that into your DAW or your sound card, or maybe you're using a tape machine. Whatever you're going, that's what you're going to want to use. And that'll do it. Okay, now I'd like to go over the different features that our BritStrip has to offer. First thing you're going to find is a jack input here. Now this is a DI, which is fantastic for guitars or basses, especially basses, as this unit offers a great low frequency response. Directly above that you'll find another jack, which is a throughput, which is actually another output to send out to a guitar amp cabinet to be able to mic that up, simultaneously record the two signals. You also have a ground lift if you're running into any unwanted noise. To the right of that, there's a 48-volt button for activating the phantom power for using condenser mics. Below that, there's a -20 dB pad. Directly below that, you'll find another button that says low Z, and that switches between two different impedances of 1200 or 300, which is great for using older mics, especially ribbons. Next to that, there's another button to activate the line level input on the back of the unit, which is fantastic for processing any line level signals coming from a DAW, for example. Now onto the gain control. Once again, this is a stepped control, two-stage, our famous Class A design. Now onto the inductor EQ. First band we're going to run into is our high frequencies, and this offers three different selectable frequencies on the outer ring, as well as an off position, which is great if you're not going to be using that band. You can completely eliminate it from the signal path. On the inside, we have a button here to adjust plus or minus 16 dBs. And directly above that, there's a button that simply says peak. And now what this does is it changes from a shelf to a bell-shaped curve. Okay, onto the mid-band. Once again, offering several different frequencies selectable on the outer ring, as well as an off position. Now this is interesting because here, as it's a rather broad Q shape, we have 12 dBs, plus or minus. But if we hit this button on the bottom here, we get a much sharper bandwidth, a high Q setting, as well as 18 dBs, plus or minus. Okay. Following on, we run into the low shelving band, which is also switchable to a bell-shaped curve if you want to hit this button above it. Once again, use the ring to select the frequencies between three different frequencies, as well as an off position, and the inside pot to adjust plus or minus 16. Now onto the high-pass filter, which can be in the off position, completely eliminated from the signal path, as well as 4 different frequencies for eliminating low-end rumble. Then we have another output stage here, making any adjustments. Now onto this cluster of buttons. First one would be to activate the EQ in itself or to eliminate it completely. Then we have the phase, which simply flips 180 degrees out of phase. Below that, there's a button to link the dynamic sections. If you're pairing up two of these units, you can link the dynamics together. Okay. Another button to activate the external sidechain filter. Below that, we have a button to either activate or disactivate the dynamic section, as well as one more button, which simply puts it pre-EQ. In the normal order, this will be coming after the EQ. Nonetheless, if you hit this button, you flip the dynamics to come before the EQ section. Both of these offer different interesting options. Okay, onto the dynamics themselves. First button we're going to run into here. On the outer ring, we have the ratio, which starts off at a very gentle 1.5 to 1, all the way up to a much harsher 10 to 1 ratio. And on the inside part, right here, we have the gain makeup. Okay. Next section here, on the outside ring, we've got the different release times. And on the inside, the threshold, which is adjustable, quite an extensive range from -20 all the way up to 20. Okay, directly below that, you'll see another button here that says attack fast. And what this does is it simply increases the attack time to make it very, very quick. Okay, on to that. Next thing we're going to run into here is the sidechain filter itself for the dynamics. And this is interesting because we've got several options. The more traditional here down at 80 and 160 to let the music breathe a little bit more and not affect the low frequencies as much. Then we've got two mid-range possibilities here, a peak at 800 and another at 3K, which can be great for de-essing or other creative options. And finally, there's even a 5K option, something you very rarely see, which can be really interesting, and I highly recommend you give it a shot. Try it out, because this will only compress frequencies starting at frequencies below 5K. It can create some interesting results. Next up, we've got this blend feature, which is great, and what this does, it allows us to do in-the-box parallel processing. So we can either have it completely wet, completely dry, or anything in between. And it's very easy to check this with this button here because this will activate or disactivate the blend control. Okay. Finally, we've got an option to either monitor the gain reduction or the output level itself. Okay, thanks for spending this time with us. Hope we've been able to answer any questions you may have had about the BritStrip. Nonetheless, if you still have any doubts, feel free to get in contact with us. We're always available here at our webpage on Heritage Audio.